Today's autism tool is how to create a safe spot. My name is Mike Woods. I'm an autism and inclusion specialist for St. Louis's largest school district. I'm a certified crisis prevention instructor, and I'm also the father of triplet boys, all three of them of which are on the autism spectrum. And if you need more information or you want to see different podcasts or presentations, go to my website, www.makingroom.net. It's common for everyone to experience stress when dealing with life on a day-to-day basis. As adults, we know that. However, for children on the autism spectrum, for adults on the autism spectrum, some daily situations can result in a greater than average level of stress or anxiety. And when this happens, it's important that they have a specific strategy to support them in coping and regulating their emotional state. Well, a safe spot is such a strategy. A safe spot is a location, but more specifically, it's a location that allows a person with autism to do several things perhaps. One, to take a break from a stressful situation. Two, to prepare him or herself for the day's upcoming events. Three, to regain emotional control in order to avoid a meltdown. Or four, it's a place to recover from a meltdown. So let's start out with the definition of a safe spot. The definition of a safe spot is this. A safe spot is a specific location where a person who's on the autism spectrum feels safe and comfortable. It can be a location in a school, community, workplace, or home. And if possible, the safe spot should be chosen with the help of the individual who'll be using the safe spot. And a safe spot is a location that generally has few distractions. It provides structure and supervision if needed, and it's always a place of safety. Some examples of safe spots is that they can be a specific place within a building. Sometimes they can be even a specific place within a room. For younger children, a safe spot might just be a place in the corner with a very comfortable chair or beanbag. Perhaps they just sit on the floor. It's a place where they can read and have an attempt to just calm down and regain their composure. For older students, a safe spot might be, for an example, the counselor's office inside a school building. It's a place where they could go to just sit on the sofa and relax, to regain their composure, to kind of calm down. It's not a place where people are going to ask them 100 questions. It's a place where they feel safe with being able to just calm down for a while. And again, it could be a variety of places within a school building. A counselor's office might be just one example. An example for a safe spot for working adults might be their break room within their place of employment. It could be some other location with their place of employment. Perhaps it's just outside the door. But it's a place where someone can go, sit down, calm down, drink a soda, smoke a cigarette, relax for a little bit, de-stress, and then get back to work. The safe spot location includes individualized strategies designed to reduce stress. Those strategies are very individualized, of course, but they could include sensory activities, music, putting on headphones to shut out distractions, or other such ideas that are designed to meet an individual's needs for calming down. The safe spot is a place that's designed to reduce internal stress and provide support for the individual in being able to get back to whatever it was that he or she needed to be doing. Time spent at the safe spot can also be used to complete work, to complete schoolwork, to complete employment type of work, or some other activity that's away from the stressful environment. A safe spot can be used as needed, or it can be a scheduled component as part of a daily schedule. So the safe spot can be used as part of a day-to-day routine in which it can actually become part of a proactive strategy where the individual may go perhaps at the beginning of the day, the middle of the day, and the end of the day. Or it can be used as a reactive strategy. In a sense, the safe spot would then be used as needed throughout the day. If the person on the autism spectrum is going to initiate the use of the safe spot, then it's important that she or he be able to recognize their own personal signs of stress or anxiety. Sometimes people who are on the autism spectrum aren't good at doing this, and so there may be a component involved in the creation of a safe spot that also entails teaching the person their own personal signs of stress or anxiety. And we'll talk about some examples here in just a second. But if they're going to initiate this on their own, then they need to be able to recognize those signs. If the individual does not know these signs, then again, it's going to be important to teach him or her what their signs are so they can eventually initiate the use of the safe spot. And at other times, the safe spot can be initiated as a place that someone would go, a person on the autism spectrum might go. It could be initiated by a parent or a teacher or a supervisor. Let me talk a little bit about the crisis cycle. There's 4 stages of the crisis cycle, I think 2 in which the use of a safe spot is a very good idea. The very first stage of the crisis cycle is called the anxious stage, and the anxious stage is defined as a change in behaviors due to anxiety. Now, for every person, this change in behaviors can be very unique. For some, it may be, for instance, one of my boys, when he becomes more anxious, he starts becoming more vocal. For other kids, it might be that they become more quiet. For one of my boys, I can tell that they're becoming anxious because they engage in more self-stimulatory behaviors, such as hand flapping. For others, it might be that they begin pacing. For some, it may be that they quit pacing and become more still. So there's a lot of different signals that could indicate that someone is becoming anxious. The better that you know your learner, your child, your student, your employee, whatever the situation may be, the better that you know them, the more you get a sense of what their baseline or average day-to-day behaviors are, the easier it's going to be able to identify the fact that they're becoming anxious. Well, at this stage, in a crisis cycle, the intervention that people use or should use is to become supportive. In other words, how can I help you? And the safe spot is a good strategy in becoming supportive. How can I help you? Hey, why don't you take a break over in your safe spot location and just calm down for a while, or allow the person to initiate it. The second stage of the crisis cycle, when people become anxious and nothing is resolved at that level, then they become defensive. And the defensive stage is defined as the beginning stage of a loss of rationality. In that case, the strategy that needs to be used is to become directive. In other words, we're not supportive anymore at this point in helping the problem solve, because the person's becoming less rational, because they're getting more towards meltdown. It's important to be a little bit more directive. And in being directive, that in the use of the safe spot at this particular level would be telling a person that they need to go to the safe spot. That would be one of the options that you would put forth that they could do. Perhaps it wouldn't be optional. It would be the strategy that you would just simply recommend. Either way, the safe spot is a good strategy to use at the anxious level of the crisis cycle or the defensive level of the crisis cycle. Something important here. The safe spot is a place of support. It's not a place for punishment. The safe spot is something that you use proactively to help someone to calm down. That is, to prevent a meltdown. The safe spot is a location that's designed to prevent a meltdown or help someone to recover from a meltdown. A timeout is a concept of behavior management where you send somebody in order to try to minimize behaviors. Timeout is a punishment process. You're trying to decrease behaviors by taking someone away from an environment that they enjoy. And so that is not a safe spot. And also a word of advice would be to not allow the safe spot and the timeout spot to be the same location. They should be different locations so that the safe spot is always a location that I identify as a place of support, a place to relax and to calm down, which is a different physical location than the one used for timeout, which is a place where I go when I get in trouble. They need to be 2 separate locations. The safe spot concept can and should be used with other teaching strategies, such as direct instruction or self-regulation skills. If a person is needing to go to the safe spot because they're becoming anxious or defensive about something, it may be that in another part of the strategy with using the safe spot is teaching the child proactive communication skills, or perhaps the adult proactive social skills that allow them to manage their situation a little bit better without having to have a meltdown. The goal of the safe spot is to help increase independence, especially when you can get to the point where a person knows their own signs and they can initiate the use of the safe spot because they recognize that they need to be able to do that in order to calm down for a little bit and then re-enter the school environment or the workplace environment or perhaps just the home environment itself. A little bit of problem solving. What if the person uses the safe spot as a way to get out of work? Well, the safe spot is not a place that's intended to allow a person to escape from their responsibilities. After a person goes to the safe spot and has a chance to calm down and relax from a stressful environment, they need to go back into that situation, especially if there were responsibilities associated with that situation. There still may need to be schoolwork to complete or job related stuff to get done. A safe spot, again, it's not intended to allow a person to escape from responsibility. It's a place that reduces environmental demands and decreases a person's internal stress so that he or she can get back to whatever it was that they were doing. So in that sense, it's okay to allow a person to bring their work, whether it be schoolwork or work, to the safe spot and complete it there. That's another option that you can pursue also. And that's our autism tool in this brief amount of time. Again, if you're looking for more information on a variety of other tools or topics, go to my website, www.makingroom.net.